What is up, guys? Welcome to Wednesday Night Hobby and Chat. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Thank you for everyone that is joining. Yeah, lots to talk about. Just gonna hang out, do some painting. Let me know if you guys want to talk about anything, but I want to talk a little bit about Warhammer animation, kind of my thoughts from Saturday. I haven't really talked to you guys since last week. I was away all weekend, so I haven't really made my thoughts clear on the animation thing. I want to talk a little bit about the obviously the chapter approved and what I expect, what we think. I want to talk a little bit about today. There's been some controversy around the whole influencer pipeline, I guess, with content creators, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, so just lots of kind of random things to talk about. I'll tell you a little bit about my weekend. Talk a little bit about what I'm working on right now, which is exciting, and hope everyone is having a good day. Let me know what you guys are working on as far as painting, and make sure to say hello in chat if you're here watching live. So today for painting, what I'm going to be doing, hey Xrath, man, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining, and I hope you're gonna feel a little bit better. Actually, impish information, heyo. Extra, that is actually a really good topic that I do want to talk about, because I have also been going through a lot of stuff in my life, my personal life, and maybe I'll talk a little about a bit. I actually booked a therapy session for tomorrow morning, so I can tell you guys a little bit what's going on in my personal life and in my brain, and maybe some of the things that I can talk about will help you. Or maybe not, but at least you'll know that there's someone else out there that's going through a lot, and that, you know, you're not alone. So if anything, impish information, hey, thanks for joining the stream. As far as painting's concerned, so I know I said Dark Angels a little bit, then I changed the topic. So first of all, and I'm getting sidetracked here already, but the Army Showcase from Play on Tabletop went live today. So if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure to check it out on YouTube. It was super cool. My 30,000 Points of Chaos Army Showcase went live today. The comments have been super positive. The comments have been super positive, which I've been super kind of happy about. And as a result of that video going live, I broke 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. So I was kind of stalled out a little around 940, and I think even today I've got around 100 followers. So if you guys are brand new to the channel, joining from Play on Tabletop or somewhere else, thanks so much for joining. Lady Atriana, thanks so much for the kind words. But yeah, so basically that was a really good boost to the channel for YouTube. Also, if you guys are watching on YouTube, I also stream, dual stream both on Twitch and YouTube. So make sure to follow the channel on Twitch, because sometimes I do content exclusively for YouTube, sometimes for Twitch. And as you can see from my little bar, I'm at 353 followers on YouTube, and my birthday is in 11 days. So my goal is to get to 500 followers on Twitch in 11 days. So if you guys want to give me a birthday present and you guys are watching on YouTube, please go and follow me on Twitch, and your name will pop on the screen because I'm good at technology. So hopefully you guys will be able to do that. As far as painting is concerned, so, oh yeah, why I got sidetracked. So basically, the Play on Tabletop video went live today, and I told them that I was going to film a how to paint Death Guard armor video for when the battle report goes live. And I believe the battle report, I don't know for sure, but I believe sometime next week the battle report will be going live, where I'm playing against Dark Angels. Oh, there we go. There's my subscription. Thank you so much. I don't know why, but the alerts don't update on my bar, but I appreciate the subscription on YouTube and on Facebook. But, oh, impish information. Thank you for following again. You guys, awesome. Thank you so much. So, oh yeah, so as I was saying, so the battle report is going live next week, and I kept telling Tack, who's one of the guys that play on Tabletop, that I would do a how to paint Death Guard video to kind of be ready to go live on my YouTube channel for when the battle report went live. And obviously, I've been slacking. So on today's painting stream, I'm going to actually be painting, I'm going to be recording the video on my camera while I paint live on YouTube. So you guys are going to see kind of the long form version of the painting. And I'm only going to do about 2 hours today because I have dinner plans around 7 o'clock tonight. It's 5:10 right now. I live in Vancouver, BC. And then after the 2 hours, and normally I don't think I'm going to be done after 2 hours, but I'm going to have a bunch of the footage at least to start working on that how to paint Death Guard video. And then sometime tomorrow or in a future video, sorry, future night, I'm going to get the rest of the recording done, and then I'm going to edit it down probably to around a 15-minute video from start to finish, because that's usually how long people like to watch YouTube videos. And I just got confirmation from Tack. He just messaged me that I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm gonna spoil it because he didn't say. But June 8th at noon PST, so that's the day after my birthday, is the YouTube video. So I have 12 days essentially to get this video done. Yeah, so that's what's been going on. So anyways, I'm gonna start painting this video, and I'm gonna kind of chat a little bit about things that I talked about. Thanks everyone that has joined the channel and has been following lately. If you guys are interested in other content, let me know in the comments below what kind of stuff you like to see. This is like a brand new channel, so I'm still figuring out what kind of stuff I like to do. But mostly I really like lots of discussion, deep discussion, long form discussion on the hobby, whether it's different subjects on 40K or maybe bigger hobby topics. Also from the YouTube perspective, I'm just working on learning YouTube. So not necessarily learning YouTube, because the YouTube part is easy. Learning how to edit, sorry, is what I meant to say. So I've literally picked up Adobe Premiere like 2 months ago and Photoshop 2 months ago, and I've been kind of self-teaching myself as kind of like a side activity. So everything you see on the channel is based on 2 months of me learning. So still learning how to film, still learning how to even work my camera. So I'm all very new at it, and it's very fun, but I'm definitely not at the level of sophistication as the Play on Tabletop guys. So hopefully the content is up to snuff. And with that said, let's get into the painting. So I'm going to talk to you guys through what I'm painting. So I'm painting today a Death Guard, and I'm going to remove this box in a sec. I'm just using it for airbrushing. But basically what I'm painting today is a, come on, get in there, autofocus. Should probably not use the autofocus because the autofocus always screws me up. So hold on one sec. So let me just see if I can autofocus this. Yeah, so what I'm painting today is a Death Guard champion, and I've actually converted him to have a plasma gun. So it's a Death Guard dude with a plasma gun, and the plasma gun is from the Chaos Space Marine kit. So I'm going to be painting this guy for the painting video, and so what I'm going to be doing as I do this, and you'll see me kind of stop a few times, so the painting might be a little bit stop and start, just because I'm actually going to be recording it separately, the footage on my camera. And so you might see me kind of stop and start and kind of move the model a bunch. That's just part of the regular process. So I'm going to go through all the steps I paint this. The first step, obviously, is going to be to airbrush the model in Rekarth Flesh. So that's our very first color. That's going to be our only step on airbrush. It's actually a really easy model from an airbrush perspective. And you can actually do this by hand, too, if you want. But today we're going to be doing it by airbrush just to make my life easier. So I'm going to start recording a video while I do this step. So here we go. So here's our model, our Death Guard champion, looking very nice. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the airbrush, and here we got the airbrush. I'm going to add into this a little bit of my flow improver, and then my Rekarth Flesh. I could do a video on conversions in general. This one's already done, so I don't have a video for it. So mixing in my, can't really see that, mixing in my Rekarth Flesh. Now, because it's just one model, I don't need a ton. Just like that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is a little bit of backflow. So basically what I do is I just kind of squeeze the tip. The other trick you can do is you take one of these little makeup sponges, and you just push your airbrush into it, and then you pull back and see how it kind of flows back. That's going to help actually mix the paint and make sure it's nice and mixed. All right, so now I'm basically going to go and airbrush the model. So here we go. And it'll be a little loud on stream, but just bear with me, guys. This is the only airbrushing step, so it should be over fairly soon. I'm using a hard-earned Seamback Infinity, if you guys are wondering. The 0.4 millimeter needle. This is like the larger needle, and this is good because it's good for base coating. I'm doing a fairly wide spread here. That's it. So that's basically all I do for the base coat for these models. Yeah, hopefully it's not too loud. I have a noise suppressor on, but it's almost over. All right, so that's basically step one of the model. Just give me a sec while I pause my recording. Boom, boom. Okay, and then I'm just gonna let that dry for a sec while we move on to the next steps. So I've talked about it a little bit before, how I clean my airbrush. I'll show you guys really quickly how I'm gonna do that. Just gonna move this guy off here. So that's get rid of my old airbrush box. So this is kind of how I do a really quick clean of my airbrush. So hopefully you guys can see this. Basically what I do is I take my airbrush. It's got all this paint in it. I got this little squeeze bottle here. This is basically just water in one of these. I highly recommend you getting one of these. And then inside this green radioactive stuff is just, it's like 80% hot water and 10% simple green, which is basically a cleaner. Lady Triona. So it was already primed black, this model. I don't know if you noticed, it was already primed black. So I would not do that rack hearth flesh over straight plastic. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water in there, just like that. Okay. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna backflow it again using that sponge. So you can watch here. That's gonna help kind of get some of the paint out. And then I'm gonna dump that into my paint water. Do that one more time. Hey Sam, how's it going, man? And then I'm gonna dump that in there. And then I'm just gonna kind of swirl my airbrush in here, just like this. And take my toothbrush, kind of get it in there, run it around. Okay, and then I'm gonna actually just put my airbrush in like this, and I'm gonna actually run it in here. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna push that soapy water through the airbrush. It's gonna make a bit of a bubble mess. Okay, that's okay. And then I'm just gonna take my water, squeeze it off, rinse it out a few times. And then there we go. So airbrush is like fully cleaned, ready to go for the next color. So when I'm doing a lot of airbrushing, that's all the cleaning I do in between paints. So a lot of people are very intimidated by, airbrushing. They think like, oh my God, like I got to do all this cleaning in between paints. But literally this is totally brand new. You can see the color of the water. It's totally clear. So that's kind of, that's all I do to clean my airbrush. And it's really simple, really quick. So what I would recommend, and I can actually do that, I might go like a 6 or 7 hour session with many different colors, and that's the only cleaning I'll do. So that took me about probably 30 seconds. So if you're intimidated by airbrushing, I would definitely recommend just kind of trying to simplify it a little bit and not overcomplicating your cleaning. And then if I'm gonna do like a larger clean, like say after a very long session, sometimes I won't even clean it in between a few days. What I'll do is after I'm done with it for the day, I'll just leave a little bit of water in it. And what that'll do is make sure that if there is any paint in there, like I'll just leave it there, it won't dry. So it won't kind of cake in there. And then say I use it for 2 or 3 days in a row. Maybe on day 3, I finally decide, okay, it's time to do like the actual clean on this. Then I'll take it apart. I'll put it in the simple green. I'll let it sit for a few hours. Then I'll go in with my like little scrubby brushes, get inside all the mechanisms, clean it all out. I also have an ultrasonic cleaner. I don't actually use it that much. I don't think it's necessary. Obviously if you have like really built-on stains, totally use it, but I just don't find it's necessary. So that's kind of the airbrush 101 on how to clean it. And here we have our lovely model. So he's still just a little drying. So I'll just let him dry and I'll kind of talk to you guys about a few other things. So let's talk Warhammer Plus. So first of all, what do you guys think? Did you guys all check out? Oh, you know what's missing? My music. I was like, what? There's something missing about this stream. And I'm like, my music's missing. So let me throw on my music. One sec. The music is the most important part of my... There we go. Now we're talking. I need my beats. Okay, so let's talk Warhammer Plus for a sec. So what do you guys think about Warhammer Plus? I actually think it's a horrible idea. So well, okay, so first of all, let me be clear. I'm excited that Games Workshop announced all of those animations. So I think, first of all, I'm very excited about the shows. Okay, that's the first thing. My concern is the distribution method. So why do I think Warhammer Plus is going to be a giant failure? I think it's going to be a giant failure because, first of all, Games Workshop, as we saw from the app, cannot manage technology. They can barely manage like the Warhammer.com site or like a Warhammer community site, like logins from working. So I know they mentioned that they've worked with a third party, but we'll see how robust the app is. So first of all, I think it's a bad idea from a technology standpoint. I think Games Workshop doesn't know what they're doing, and they're not going to necessarily understand the actual amount of work that they're going to need to do to make this thing work. So that's the first thing. Second, I don't think there's enough content. So I don't know how many shows they announced. I think 12 shows. I pay $12.99 for Netflix, I think, right now, and I use the I have like the 4K Netflix because I have a 4K TV. So I have like the higher quality Netflix so I can get 4K streaming. So I think it's like $13 or $14 a month. Pete, welcome to the stream. Burster75, welcome to the stream as well. We're just talking about Warhammer Plus right now. But so my second concern is that there's not enough content to justify the price, right? So we have a situation where 12 shows, let's say they're half an hour each, right? Or even an hour each. That's 12 hours of content, of TV content a month. I paid for Netflix. The amount of money I pay for Netflix is like $13, and I get an insane amount of content. So the other issue is I think the price to content ratio is going to be totally whack, and it's not going to be good, and it's not going to be good value. And the third reason, and Xrath actually just pointed out, is I think it's actually going to be a terrible, terrible way to actually grow the Warhammer IP, because the only way you're going to find out about Warhammer Plus is by going to warhammer.com or gamesworkshop.com or wherever, and basically already being part of that ecosystem. And I just think that's a really bad, I think that's a bad business model. I think what they should have done is partnered with Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, I don't know, HBO, any of these other larger distributors, and get their shows on these platforms where there's a ton more of exposure. Because I just feel like what's going to happen is the only people that are going to sign up for Warhammer Plus are going to be Warhammer already people in the game. And when I think about the long term, like here's the end game for me. So the question is should they be using Warhammer Plus simply to make more money for themselves, right? And if that's the case, then keep it internal, because like start on the short term, because obviously if you're charging $12.99 or $10.99 or $5.99 or whatever they're going to charge, and you're Games Workshop and you run that service, you get 100% of that. You don't have to share it with Netflix or whatever. So from a money making standpoint, they're making the gamble, they're making the calculation that they can make more money like initially by keeping it within that like Games Workshop very tight, very controlled ecosystem where it's just the people that already know about Warhammer. But my problem is that I think that these shows shouldn't be used to make money, although they should make some money. What they should be used to do is to bring more people into the Warhammer universe. So like their bread and butter is tabletop, right? Their bread and butter is the games. And although they probably are making quite a bit of money from the IPs, I just don't see them like making enough money. Like, so sorry, let me rephrase that. I think long term, they will make much more money if they grow the Warhammer IP to a much bigger market, even if that means they make less money right up front because they're maybe having to split costs with Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever distribution service. So obviously that means they'll end up with less money to start. But I think long term they'll end up with more money because they're going to bring millions and millions of more people into the Warhammer universe that are fans of the IP. But instead, because they're keeping it internal, yes, they'll make more money initially because they're going to control the whole ecosystem, right? Vertically integrated from top to bottom, content creator and the distribution model. They're going to control that whole ecosystem. But because it's only really going to curate to the Warhammer group, it's not going to be as popular or as long-term profitable as the other services. Because here's what's going to happen. Two things are going to happen. If I am, say I'm a consumer, right? Exactly. Burster 75 makes a really good point. And the thing is, Burster, the amount of people that I know that play Warhammer today that got into it through things like Dawn of War is massive. So many people that I know picked up Dawn of War 1, which is still the greatest Warhammer 40k game of all time. I don't care what you guys say about any of the other games. Dawn of War 1 is still to this day one of my favorite 40k games. The amount of people that I know that got into 40k due to Dawn of War 1, or at least into the universe, is massive. But imagine if the only place you could find Dawn of War 1 was if you already played Games Workshop games and you had to go buy it from gamesworkshop.com. That's essentially what they're doing. It's a terrible, terrible idea. And the other thing is that, look, if I'm gonna sign up for Warhammer TV, right? Here's what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna sign up for it. I'm gonna get on, and I assume, let's say there's 12 shows, right? I'm gonna, and I log on for a month. So I sign up for month 1. So those are 12 shows. Now, if they go with, say, a Netflix release model where everything is out at once, I can watch all 12 of those shows in a month, right? In which case, I will just sub for a month, watch all 12 shows, and then cancel my sub. On the flip side, if they go with a model that's like Disney Plus, where it's like week episodic, where they release episodes every week, right? Then what I'll do is I will wait a few months, 2 to 3 months, till all of the shows are released, because if they're coming out episodically, then after, let's say, like month 2 or month 3, these shows will be all fully out. Then I'll sub for 1 month, watch all the shows. Or third, which I think is actually going to be a huge problem, I'll just pirate it, because I'm going to look at the value proposition of me having a Warhammer Plus subscription, and I'm going to say, this is not worth my money. So I'm just going to pirate it. Those are the 3 outcomes. And all of them are bad. All of them are bad outcomes, and all of them are going to lead to a failed service. There are so many streaming services that you guys have never heard of. Like Roku, like Zumu, there's like, you look up a list of streaming services, go Google it right now. And I bet you will find like Discovery, Paramount Plus, there's so many streaming services that exist that are the exact thing I'm talking about happens to them. And I'm not talking about streaming services from like no-name studios. Like Paramount have their own streaming service. That's where you can watch like Star Trek Discovery. So there's lots of streaming services that exist right now that are super small. And the reason is because the distribution company is unknown, right? So it is like getting distributed by, say, Games Workshop. So they're that small. And B, the amount of content they have on them is so small that people aren't looking at it as worth it. So for instance, and so people don't purchase it. They just end up pirating they just want the one show. So they just end up pirating it. They're like, oh, I want to watch Star Trek Discovery on Paramount's streaming service, but I don't want to subscribe to the Paramount streaming service because it's $7.99 and there's only one show on there that I want to watch. And so I'm just going to end up pirating it. That's a real thing. Like, pirating has not gone away, and that's just a real thing. I'm actually going to be talking about it in much more depth next Tuesday on Politics and Plastic. We're going to be covering kind of the whole issue of recasting 3D models, forgeries, that kind of stuff on Politics and Plastic. And part of that is also going to be talking about pirating and kind of intellectual property theft, and that it happens, right? And that it's very prevalent, and that talking a lot about the ethics of that. So that's gonna be next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys like to kind of get into more of those deeper discussions on kind of these bigger issues, make sure to subscribe to the channels and you can hear that discussion. But that's gonna be next Tuesday. But my point is like, look, people are not going to pay Games Workshop. Games Workshop doesn't, like, I think they're underestimating how many dishonest people there are and how many people are going to rip them off in this like with this business model, because it's an awful business model. So yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I guess you know, I hope they reverse course. At the minimum, what I think they should do, and I know they're developing an Eisenhorn show with Amazon, the guys from Amazon. So at the minimum, what I think they should do is, even if they don't put all the shows on, say, a Prime or Netflix, they should put 2 or 3 really good shows on those channels that help direct people back to the Warhammer community or the Warhammer Plus site. So it's like, hey, here's a Stardust 2. It's on, say, Netflix. At the end of every episode, it's like, check out more Warhammer content on Warhammer Plus. Like, that would be something that I could see them doing. Now, I doubt Netflix is going to allow people to like advertise on their shows or whatever, or Amazon Prime is going to let them do it with like a competing streaming service, but we'll see. So anyways, guys, I'm still waiting for this to dry. If you're wondering why I'm not painting, I've primed him with Ricard's Flush, and now I'm just waiting for him to dry. So that's kind of the first thing I want to talk about. That's my thoughts on Warhammer Plus. With that said, I'm very excited for the shows. Some look better than others. The animation quality of like the Tau one looks kind of amateurish. I'm happy that they're not just doing 40K. Like, I think the AOS ones are kind of cool. I'd love it if they did some old world fantasy ones, or like a you know, so that's kind of cool. Obviously it's all animation, which is interesting. I know they're doing the live action show with Amazon, but I'm curious if that's going to end up on the streaming service afterwards, right? Or if that's going to be like an Amazon exclusive. That'll be really interesting to see. But yeah, what do you guys think of the streaming service? Are you excited? Do you think it's something that like you wanna, you think you guys like, what would you guys pay to subscribe to something like that, given that it's gonna have very limited content? You know, let me know in the chat. $0, yeah. Thanks for following, guys. Extrazixel, I don't even know how to say that, man. Thanks for following. So, all right, what else was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about, there's another thing I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, chapter approved. So I'm excited for chapter approved. I wish that, yeah, I agree. Burster, I agree. I'm going to give it a pass. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it a pass. I'm going to wait till I hear the reviews of the shows. And if 90% of them are trash, then I won't watch it. I'll just pirate. I'll tell you right now, I will just pirate the one that I like, because I won't pay them that price. So call the cops on me, get them to kind of DC. I'm in Canada, so I'm immune from that kind of stuff. So we don't get the kind of notice copyright claims up here, but I'll just pirate it. I don't care. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, call the cops on me. Yeah, my problem, Sunbro Saxon, my problem with that, what you're saying, is even if the stories are good, it's just it won't be enough, right? Like, the reason that, like, if I look at the value of Netflix, how much hours of content I get, it's thousands and thousands, unlimited. I could not watch the entire all the shows on Netflix if my life depended on it, right? I'm so far behind on shows that I want to check out on Netflix. So it's always there, and it's always tons of content. I bet you whatever GW produces, even for £3 to £5 or euros or whatever you're gonna pay, it's just you're gonna burn through it in like a week, right? So, all right, back to chapter approved. So, what are my wishes for chapter approved? Well, a few things. I'm hoping they took a look at. I'm hoping, and this is my concern, which whether it's gonna happen or not. I'm hoping they actually did take a look at points across the board, because my concern is that, well, first of all, I think, okay, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here. The whole chapter approved model is fucking dumb. First of all, the fact that we're getting points updates in a printed book that is printed 6 months, 4 to 6 months ago, right? Means that literally the day that it's produced, it's fucking out of date. So I don't know why they even follow this model. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. The missions, okay, you know, I can understand the missions, but the points updates should be digital, and they should be like they should be they should have been finalized like last week, right? So for me, the whole point of like points updates in a fucking paper book that takes 4 to 6 months lead time of printing, not 4 to 6. Here's the thing. It's not that they write it 6 months ago, it's that they print it 6 months ago, which means some of the points changes are probably from even like 8 months ago or 10 months ago or wherever, right? So it's like you have this stupid model, Games Workshop, and we're gonna get those books, and one of two things are gonna happen. Either all of the nerfs are gonna be for things that aren't even good anymore, so like Space Marines, or they're gonna nerf Necrons, or they're gonna nerf Death Guard, or shit that's not even good anymore. Or, and here's the other part, this is the other option. Or, it's not gonna have changed anything because they've missed it. So you're either gonna get one of two things. You're gonna get nerfs for armies that don't need it, like Space Marines that, you know, maybe need slight adjustments. It's just gonna be completely out of date the day that it's released. So it's absolutely garbage. I think it's totally a dumb model to do. And then the other thing too is like, we'll probably like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. And then all the codexes that came out since that book was printed, so 4 months ago, so we're talking like Dark Angels, Death Guard, maybe even like, you know, well, so those codex were probably printed even before that, but like Drukhari, basically any three months ago, any book that's come out in the last 3 months is not going to have points updates in there, which means all of the actual problematic codexes are not going to have points updates. Yeah, but the thing with Pete though, that physical reprint was actually a reprint of the digital update that we got like 6 months ago, because White Dwarf obviously has a even longer lead time. So that wasn't actually like a new update. That was just a physical reprint of the digital updates that they did in White Dwarf like a bunch of time ago. All right, so now let's get on to some painting. All right, so for the next step for the model, basically, this actually is like a super easy scheme, and there's only one other step I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna do a big wash. I'm gonna go in with Decayed Metal by Scale 75. This is like a very dark kind of bronze metal. So, put a little bit on my palette. And I'm just gonna add a touch of water to this, so it's a little bit thinner. Okay. Get a little bit of water. Yeah, Decayed Metal is awesome. All right, then I'm gonna get my number 1 brush from Rosemary & Co, wherever you are. Oh. Number 1 brush, this is my favorite. This is like my base coating workhorse brush, number 1 brush from Rosemary & Co. And then what I'm gonna do, so let me just turn on my recording here. Okay, so there's my model. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is basically gonna go do all the trim, starting with the bottom grease. So I'm base coating all the metal at this stage. And then I'm basically gonna wash the whole model with my green color. All right, so let's talk, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm in the shot. So for chapter approved, yeah, so the whole points update model is completely stupid. And I really hope that they get rid of it, because it's totally ineffective. And like the whole point of the chapter approved points update is to actually balance the game. So if the primary point of you releasing this point update is to help balance, but because of the fact that it's completely out of date, it doesn't actually achieve that objective, then why the fuck are you doing it? It's just, you're literally just doing it because like to make it feel like you're actually doing something. But if it's not actually achieving the goals that you set out to do, which is to actually help balance the game, then it's a completely pointless like activity, I guess, right? There's no point in doing it, as far as I'm concerned. Isn't that right? Like, I'm not crazy, right? So if that's the point of their chapter approved, is to actually have them like update to balance the game, your points, then don't you think it makes the most sense to have it as up to date as possible? And then if the thing is they're going to release, say, like an FAQ, like a day zero FAQ, to update any of the points that they didn't catch in the book, well then doesn't that fucking tell you something? Like, you're essentially doing double the work, right? So it's like, doesn't that tell you that you should stop fucking putting, like, why don't you just do that for all of them then, right? Like, it's literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So as far as the points update, you know, I'm not expecting much because I think a lot of the updates are going to be like poorly, they're going to be like poorly thought out or out of date. So that's the first thing. And then as far as missions are concerned, so my wish list for missions is obviously the secondary is getting updated, which I think is good. I do hope that they include some faction specific secondaries in the mission pack. And I really hope that they limit, like, I hope there's a rule in there for, like, when you're picking secondaries, that you can only pick one codex specific, I hope there's a rule in there that you can only pick one codex specific secondary as part of your 3. So, like, you can't, say, for instance, take, if you're Dark Angels, you can't, for instance, take one from Dark Angels and one from Space Marines. Or, say, like, in a future book, say you're running like let's say you're running Eldari and let's say Drukhari, you can't take both a Eldari one and a Drukhari one. Like, you have to take only at most one faction secondary from the codexes. To be honest though, I really think that they should just outlaw, I would really hope that as it becomes more apparent that the faction secondaries are not balanced, I really think TO should just outlaw faction secondaries from match play, because I just don't think it's fair until all the books have them. And even then, I don't necessarily think it'll be fair, because even theoretically, even the books that have them, right? It's not fair across the factions. It's not like some factions, all the ones that have them are fair. Like, you have Space Marines who have ones that are just way too fucking good, and it's like, it feels like it's just a lot of feel bads, you know? So even if all the factions got their own secondaries, I probably still wouldn't want them to be in use. Is that too harsh, you guys? Or do you think that's like, do you think that's appropriate? Hey Joshua, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming. Welcome to the channel. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I stream 3 times a week on Twitch and YouTube. Various shows, also doing some curated YouTube content, so make sure to subscribe on both YouTube and Twitch. My goal is to get to 500 Twitch followers by my birthday, which is in 11 days. That's why it's set for 11 days. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to follow me on Twitch. That'd be really helpful and make me a happy person. And right now, although it doesn't look like it, I am actually recording a how to paint video. So basically what that's going to look like is I'm going to paint this model, and I'm recording the footage, the raw footage, and then I will go back later and edit it, cut it down, edit it down to like a 13 minute video. So you guys are kind of you guys are live part of the recording. This is the first time I've actually done the footage for one of these live on the air. So hey dude, how's it going? I just spent 20 minutes complaining about Warhammer Plus and talking about how it's a dumb what they're doing, and now I'm complaining about chapter proof. So if you guys are wondering what I talk about on my channel, guys, and just let's be clear, I say complaining, but it's disgusting. Anyways, so as far as the missions are concerned, so that's one thing I'd like to see. I'd like to see them clarify once and for all the deep strike redeployment stratagems. So there's quite a few stratagems that allow you to redeploy in the like after the first turn is declared or rolled for. So I'd like to see them clarify if any of those are able to be used to put units back into deep strike, and if so, which ones, because it seems like right now it's really consistent. Some units seem to have the language that they can do it, and some that they don't. I'd love it if they got rid of the fact that yeah, I primed it black, and then I primed it Rekarth Flesh and from the airbrush. The other thing I'd like to see them do is I actually hate the rule where you have to pick all your spells, abilities, and warlord traits like when you muster your army. I think it's a really bad rule, because what it does is it means that there's like certain things that you just never will see on the tabletop as far as relics and warlord traits, because they're so situational. And I just think that I never like it when a rule means that there's less variety. And I think that's just like a very simple rule that I don't think actually takes that much time to do before game. That I think what it does is it leads to less variety and less tactics, right? Because instead of trying to tailor or be situational with the like the things that you pick, you're just gonna pick the one that's the best one generically, and that's always just gonna be the choice, and that's everyone can kind of just net list that, right? So I don't like the idea that you're stuck with those things for the whole tournament or for all the match play. I think it's bad for yeah, I think it just takes away a lot from the game. And especially for psychic powers, me being a person that plays the psychic powers, so many of the psychic powers are so situational that it just means you end up taking like the same 2 to 3 psychic powers every game, and you never take anything else, because you can't risk running into like a list where your psychic powers are useless. And I just think that's a really bad mechanic, where you basically don't get to use a big part of your codex or a bunch of tools from your codex, because they're too specific. You know what I'm saying? Like they're too situational. I think that's really bad game design. But Pete, what shenanigans are you talking about? Explain to me what a bad apple shenanigan is, because I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like what is it actually solving? Yeah, Joshua, I actually agree. Yeah, K-Pi, I agree as well, man. Yeah, so you're locked into psychic powers, and so that's the thing. Like, look, I use Death Guard as a really good example. There's quite a few, especially like the new psychic powers, Determinus Est. The thing is, like, there's a lot of those psychic powers that just are totally useless against certain opponents, and so you just never take them. And I just think it reduces a lot of variety in games. And there's, it kind of comes down to the whole like that whole first turn going first or second, losing the choice to do that, I actually think is also bad for the game, because for me, like any decision that helps separate like a good strong player from a bad, not a bad player, but like a less experienced player, I think is a good thing, because it helps like show that there are actually differences in like decision. There's the different decisions you make during the game, whether it's to go first, what psychic powers to take, what stratagems to use. I like that there's these decision points that help separate you know, the different players as far as like their skill level, and like going first or second I think is one of those. And so the fact that you don't even choose anymore means that it just really like limits, I think, as far as I'm concerned, how you play. And it removes, it shrinks the gap of like good players and bad players, which I think in any game that you want, I think you want skill to matter more. So I don't think you want, so, and what I mean is like, when you have choices, when you're locked into certain choices, like say your psychic powers, because you just took the best psychic power that's generally used, or the best one relic that everyone takes, what it means is that by removing that choice, you've removed, you've shrunk the gap between good players and bad players, and I firmly believe that, like, I think in games, and you've added more, you've made luck a bigger part of it, right? So if the choices that you make during the game are important, then luck has less of a role. But if the choices in the game that you make are fixed, then your luck actually has a bigger impact on the game. So that role to see who goes first and second comes down more to luck than it comes to skill, right? And I just don't like that. I think it's bad. I think it's bad game design. No, I fucking hate the priority mechanic, dude. What are you talking about? That's dumb. I definitely don't like the priority mechanic. If you have it loaded on lists, you have it set down so you guys can try to pull. Right, but like, I don't think that that's an issue, dude. Like, I think that's like a made up issue, that there's this huge problem with players like not having their traits or warlord traits or whatever like properly written. Like, if that's an issue, then like I would just make, like, there needs to just be a part of the game where you go through all that stuff and it all needs to be written down ahead of time, right? So like maybe you even have like, so one of the things that I used to do for my Thousand Suns, because I had like 4 casters and I had like multiple relics, multiple warlord traits, is I used to make little index cards, like on like the ones that you get to like study for tests. And basically what I would do is I had, for every tournament, so say I had a 5-game tournament, I would have 5 of those cards, and then at the start of every game I'd kind of fill them out. So based on that specific opponent, I'd fill out things like relics, I'd fill out things like warlord traits, I'd fill out things like spells, and then I would have that as like a reference for my opponent, and then he could also see it. So if at any point he wanted to see who had what, I could just hand him that card, and basically it'll have every character, and next to that character's name, it would have the spells it had, the warlord traits, the relics, etc., etc. Right? And so that way there's always like a physical copy of that information. I think where it gets sketchy is like when someone says, hey, this guy has X, but then he doesn't like write it down anywhere, and then later on there's an argument about it. No one's ever done that, Burster. That's a complete like that's like not a thing. I don't agree. I've never, yeah, we did that in all of 8th edition. No one ever asked to change out war gear. Well, that's a whole different thing we're talking about. Because remember, this is not a case of, here's the thing, this is not a case of I'm trying to create a new rule that didn't exist before. In 8th edition, this is how you selected power. So that was a part of the game specifically written in the rules that you could do that, and they took it away. So this is not but you can never choose war gear at the start of a game, right? You know, like, so it's a much different topic I think you're talking about. Luminos. Thought I'd mute it for you guys so you didn't have to hear that. Yeah, well, it's not even about the code of conduct though, Dan. I think it's just common sense. It's like, hey, write down what's happening, like on the tabletop, right? So that it's clear for your opponent. I don't think that's a big ask. And I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that either. So as I'm doing this trim, guys, just remember, I don't have to be super neat here. Like I am trying to be as neat as possible, but like if you get oversplash, it's not a big deal because we're gonna drench this thing in wash, and then when we go back and kind of do the first level highlights, we're gonna make all those corrections. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, it was funny. I always re-listen to the cast that I'm on, and I always forget like how like I guess like fired up I get. I'm like, yo, Jim, calm down. I was listening today while I was at the gym, and I was like, yo, Jim, calm down. You're going crazy. So, but yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of my hopes for chapter approved. So I hope they change how we play the game. I hope they go back to choosing first turn. I hope they allow us to choose our psychic powers relics. I hope that they clarify the deep strike stuff. I do like the transport thing. Like I do like being pre-selecting the transports. I'm just saying, and I'm fine with pre-selecting deep strike and revealing deep strike. I actually like that. What I don't like is that the stratagems that let you redeploy don't allow you to put things back into deep strike. I think that should actually be a mechanic. Yeah, I like that too, Shane, where it's like you have like a base. Yeah, exactly. So you have a base thing in your list, and then if you want to change it for a game, you have to also write that down, right? Well, that's, yeah, but the thing is, it's not about advantage or disadvantage, Burster. The thing is, like, armies are built around certain mechanics, right? So if I'm paying, but here's the thing, if I'm paying for a psyker, right, but I'm locked into 2 powers, I'm also at a disadvantage because I'm locked in, because it means that in a lot of my matchups, those powers will be useless or not effective. So essentially, I'm stuck in you know, I have all these psychic powers that I can't actually use in a lot of matchups. So I'm paying these points for a psyker that has no use in my game, right? And the thing is, this isn't the difference between, say, like me taking a lasgun or say a power sword versus a power fist, because even in a game where maybe the guy is all toughness 3, and so my power fist feels like it's kind of pointless. Versus say a power sword, which might be better. The power fist is still doing something, even if it's not as effective. The problem is there's a lot of psychic powers in the game that literally are completely ineffective unless they're very specific matchups. Heinz, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've been streaming, videotaping, all sorts of stuff. So, well, not videotaping. This isn't a porn channel, but I've been making YouTube videos and streaming on YouTube and Twitch. So thanks for tuning in, man. My battle report for Play On is actually going live in about 12 days. So that was just kind of like the army showcase. You guys have no idea. So I got there at like, the game was against Pajama Pants Gary Sacco. It was supposed to start at like 3 p.m. And I got there at 11:30 a.m. to start setting up my army. And I had 6 figure cases, 6 army pack, what are they called? Battle foams, pack 720s, which are like the fucking airport, like the bigger ones, full, plus like 2 cardboard boxes of models. It took me like 2.5 hours. They did a time lapse and they showed a bit of it at the start of that video, but it literally took me 2.5 hours to set up that army. And then it took me like 2 hours to put it away, but like it somehow, when I was trying to put it away, it took up way more space than when I was unpacking it. So like I ended up like not having enough room for everything because I just like forgot how I packed everything away. And so I ended up like, yeah, it was very frustrating. Yeah, got it all home okay. Thanks, guys. Hey, Playon, how's it going? Who that is, but... So yeah, got it all home okay. Haven't really unpacked much of it, to be honest, since I got it home. Everything's been in boxes still. But that's okay. Yeah, I don't know how, but like it was all packed in there really well, and then like yeah, I just couldn't get it all back in there. Water damage. Is that like from tears? All right, I'm just gonna record this segment, guys. All right. So next up in the video, we're going to be basically doing a wash. So I'm using Secret Weapon Algae. This is like my secret weapon. Well, I was gonna say it's my secret weapon for washes, and it's actually called Secret Weapon. So Secret Weapon Algae. This is the green that I use to wash on my Death Guard. So onto the Vortex Mixer for a sec. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to be I'm going to be mixing it basically 50-50 with let me see here, Lamian medium, and a little bit of water, and that's going to help it flow really well. So let me just make up that mix. Lady Atriona, I have you can see behind me, I have a shelf that I display them on the very top shelf, that side. So I do have and yeah, Magnus is up there. You can see his wings. You can see his wingtip right here. Right here. That's Magnus right there, I believe. Oh no, that's actually my Bellacore, I think. Or no, maybe not. Hopefully you guys, yeah, it was funny, KPI, because I actually had them loose in my hand because I didn't have enough boxes, and they're too big to go in one of my display case or in my carrying cases, and I literally seatbelted in Magnus. All right, so at this point, we got the model. We're gonna go in with our wash here, and basically I'm gonna go head to toe, and I'm gonna do a full wash of this green color all over the model. And I actually do want this to pool into those little recesses really well. So keep turning it, moving it around. Thank you for the subscriptions, guys. Keep them coming. So anyways, so that's my thoughts on chapter approved, I guess, and the new mission secondaries. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I assume that the reviewers, the content creators, have their review copy, and they will be releasing the like their reviews this week or on Saturday. So let's talk about Saturday. So Xrath brought up I guess a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is mental health. So for those of you that are joining the stream, thanks guys. Yeah, it is a great color, Sunbro. Thanks for noticing. This is one of my favorite washes. It's kind of like a weird, it's called algae. It's kind of like a bluish green. But I went camping last week, which was great, out in Squamish, which is kind of an area near where I live in Vancouver. And it was a really fun trip. Like, I got to see a bunch of my friends and spend some time with some people. My ex-girlfriend was there, which has been tough. We broke up about 7 months ago, so it's been a while since we broke up, but she's kind of part of my friend group, which means that like when I hang out with a certain group of friends, I can expect with pretty much certainty that she would be there. And so I was at this camping thing, and my ex-girlfriend was there, which we've become friends. Like, I wouldn't say we were friends, we're friendly. Like, like we took a few photos together while we were there. Like, I don't talk to her outside of those little friend trips, because like we're not really in the same friend groups anymore, or we don't really hang out or anything. But so that was really tough. It's been actually I've seen her like 2 or 3 times in the last like I guess month or two, and that's been it's been, I don't know why, but it's really affected my mental health in a really bad way. Like, it's made me kind of realize kind of who my friends are. And I had this weekend we were supposed to go on another camping trip, kind of the same group of people, and my cousin, who I love so much, he's also we've also been having some issues. Well, basically he seems to have been having some mental health issues, which has caused and some health issues in general, and that's caused him to kind of like put a big strain on our relationship. And they're both supposed to go on this camping trip this weekend coming up, and I've been feeling a lot of anxiety about it, like that both of these people that I'm like basically trying to avoid, no, it's not friends with benefits, Artie, the benefits are gone, and it's not even really friends. So there's these 2 people on this trip that I was supposed to go to this week that just it's just causing me a lot of, like, to be around one of them, it caused me a lot of like hardship and I guess sadness, I guess, in a lot of ways. Like, I get really depressed and feeling down about like what I used to have, the relationship that I used to have with these people, and that I no longer have. And so that's caused me to have anxiety to go see them, even when the goal is to basically see them with my other friends. So it's not like I'm there with just them, but me being in a situation where they're also there, it creates a lot of just like sad feelings, I guess, for me, and just I get really kind of like melancholy, I guess, and it's kind of like I think a lot about like what I had, and this like I have feelings of loss and grief, I guess. It brings up a lot of trauma as well. And so I was supposed to go on this camping trip this weekend and both she was supposed to be there, plus my cousin was supposed to be there. And so the 2 of them together, I felt like, although some of my other friends want me to go, it felt like it was going to be too much for me to handle. So I decided last night to not go on this trip, which is really sad because I was really looking forward to it. But I've just been in a really weird place mentally as far as my mental health. Like, yeah, I'm not friends with my ex. Like, we are polite and we like smile and like say hello, how are you, that kind of stuff, but like we're not like spending time together or like hanging out as friends, even though we've been in social like situations together, and we're both like civil. It's hard for me to even like talk to her, and she doesn't like approach me, like she knows to stay away. So I'm just waiting for this to dry at this point, guys, so not much meeting happening. Yeah, so then between that and my cousin being there, I just felt like I don't want to go. I don't want to be in that situation. So I decided to stay home this weekend, which is really tough because a lot of people really, like, some people wanted me to go, but also the hard part has been for me, my mental health as well, is like that the way that our friend group has fissured, it feels like more people are now friends and hanging out with my ex-girlfriend than me. So like there's only like 1 or 2 people that really like communicate with me now from that group previously that want me to like be there, but like the majority of them you know, although they're all polite and we kind of hang out, they're not like calling me up and saying, hey, come on this trip. So yeah, it's just been really tough. It's been a really tough, I don't know, 6 months, I guess, mentally. On top of that, like, I've been really feeling a lot of like demotivation from my work, my job, to the point where I've been thinking about quitting. There's been just some issues with my job. So I finally booked I booked a therapy session tomorrow. Like I went to some therapy with my normal through my normal work, but with that you only get like 5 sessions, and I didn't really love the outcome. So I've now booked a therapy session for tomorrow. So I'm hoping that maybe can help me a little bit. And I've been trying to like do a little bit of like self improvement, I guess. So I don't know. I'm just in a very weird place. I'm just in a very weird place mentally. When it comes to so Mr. Popo, not to interrupt this is I'm kind of going through the steps on how I paint my death card. So let me see if I have a model that is finished of my death card. Well, the only thing I could find is a defiler, so we'll just use that. But basically, this is basically the death card scheme. So you can see that the metal and the green and the white armor. This is the steps that I do to do the green metal and the green armor. So I'm just like on a defiler, for instance. So that kind of streaked armor with the green kind of tinge, and then the brass with the green. That's what we're doing today. Yeah, so that's what I'm working on, and this is kind of the steps that I go through. This is how I painted all my death card. If you guys check out my Instagram, I'm gonna put this way. Thanks, man. Yeah, I got 3 of them. They're fun to paint, they're fun to play, but the problem is on the 9th edition boards, I just feel like they're really hard to like get around. Like they're just really unwieldy. So anyways, that's what's been going on with my mental health. It's been tough. Like I feel very isolated and alone, and it's like it's really hard because I feel like sometimes I feel like when I'm around my friends, like in those groups, I'm always like, I'm just kind of down, and I'm never really like there. I'm kind of like detached. I'm disassociated with like that social situation. And for those of you that know me personally, which is not very many of you, a few of you, you guys know that I like to party. I like to drink. I like to do other things to kind of keep myself, I guess, disassociated with my real reality. And what I found is that like these social situations have kind of, the only way I've been able to handle them is by like having a too good of a time and kind of putting, you know, things in my body to like help me cope. And I know as much as I enjoy that and I have fun, I know it's not healthy. So I need to figure out a way to like deal with these kinds of issues without, I guess, like, not that I don't like doing that or that I'll stop that forever, but I don't want it to be a coping mechanism. I want to do it because I want to enjoy it and have fun, not because I'm doing it to kind of like put myself into a black hole where I don't have to deal with these feelings. And I know that's really unhealthy, the way that I have approached it. So yeah, it's been really tough. And I feel very, some days I get up and I'm just like super unmotivated and depressed and don't want to see anyone and don't want to see my friends. And I just want to thank you guys, because the one thing that's kept me, I guess, motivated and sane and slightly like happy is my hobby, is my community, is the hobby community, is the like, even the, you know, I'm not a big streamer here, guys. There's like 25 of you guys watching right now. But just talking to the community, the streaming community, people that have been tuning in, all the great comments, that's probably been the one thing in my life right now that has been really, really motivating and really kept me happy and kept me positive. And even that, sometimes I have like really dark days with it where I feel like, what's the point? No one cares. You know, none of the stuff that I'm doing matters and everyone hates it. And, you know, that's obviously just me being self-critical, but, you know, I don't know what I would do without this hobby. It's been such a life preserver for me as far as like my mental health and like keeping me motivated and distracted. Thanks, Obakan, I appreciate it. So yeah, anyways, I didn't mean to like be all sad and depressed for you guys, but Exarath at the start of the chat had mentioned that, you know, he had been going through some hard times. So yeah, thanks Creator Creator. So I just wanted to share that I'm also going through stuff, and it's not, you're not alone, man. And you know, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here, and reach out. So yeah, I know, man. Well, I was away in the bushes, literally. So like literally last week I was in the okay, so you guys don't even know where we went. Where we, like, this is how, so I live in British Columbia, which is like beautiful temperate rainforest. All the campsites are closed because of COVID right now. So, and we wanted to do like basically a rave in the forest. So basically we drove against guidelines, but most of us, we're all vaccinated and stuff, so whatever. Don't hate. And it was an hour and a half drive to Squamish, which is like the town, and then it's another 2-hour drive up a logging road, a service road, into the forest. And we ended up, I'll show you guys a photo. I'll show you guys a photo actually on my let me see this. I have technology, guys, so I will show you guys a photo on my not on my phone because that's super ghetto, but I will show it to you guys on my screen. Hold on. And one of my friends is calling. Hey, I was watching Call Her Daddy. Do you guys ever watch Call Her Daddy? It's a really great show. Hold on, I gotta take this phone call. Hey guys, sorry. That is my friend Sabrina, who I'm going to dinner with in an hour, and she actually wants to. So you know what she said to me? Funny story. So she's like, "Hey, are you going to this camping trip this weekend?" And I was like, "I don't think so." And she's like, "Oh, I was gonna see if you wanted to come with me, because I'm going through some shit and I don't want to go alone." So I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm like, we're gonna have dinner in about an hour. So I was like, let me come see you and we'll talk about it at dinner. Anyways, let me show you something. So this is the place that we went. It is called so this is basically a beach on Squamish. It's like in the middle of the bushes basically. So it's like a 2-hour drive through a service road, and then you end up on this like sandy, literally a sandy beach with a beautiful river, mountains. It's absolutely gorgeous. But that's kind of where we ended up. So yeah, I was like, that was last week. So I was out, and it's literally 20 minutes up that service road, or no, 20 minutes until you get to that service road. There's actually no service. So I was out of it. And also because I literally drank and partied and raved for 2 days, when I got home, I was like completely catatonic, and I was like, I just need to sleep for 2 days. So I'm gonna go for dinner with Serena in a little bit, and maybe talk about whether I should go on this camping trip, because she's saying I should go with her. But I wasn't originally gonna go, but you guys don't understand. I love fucking music, and I love dancing, and I love just like when I like we had on the trip we had a full DJ setup. So there's like a bunch of our friends are DJs, obviously, because I'm a crazy person, but we had a full DJ setup, and literally we played music from like 5 p.m. to like 11 a.m. the next morning, and like I danced almost the entire time, like through the night into the morning. And one of my things that are therapy for me is music, is dancing, is kind of getting away. Yeah, we have raves too. I don't like to call it a rave, because it's like it's not like public. It's like our group, so it's not like a public rave where everyone goes. But basically yeah, so but that's like therapy for me, and that's like my happy place. And I just dance by myself, and I go into my own zone, and I do my own thing, and I have the greatest time. So that's the other reason where I'm like, maybe I should go and just do my own thing and fuck all these other people, and just ignore them and just have fun and have my fun and not let them interfere, because I don't want other people. The other point is like, I don't want other people affecting how I live my life. I want to live and do the things that make me happy. And if that means going and dancing and listening to great music and meeting cool people, which is, I met so many cool people last week, like probably like at least a dozen cool people, guys and girls, that like we're gonna hang out. Like we had such a great time together. Like I made such good connections on that trip, that it's like I love that, right? Like I don't want to give that up, because there's 1 or 2 people there that give me bad energy and kind of bring me down a little bit. So that's kind of the struggle that I'm going through, is like, do I do I avoid it, or do I face it, right? And that's just really hard. Lady Atriana, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good sleep, and yeah, I'll be streaming again tomorrow night, best overall show at 6 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to see kind of like my weekly variety show that I do, make sure to tune in then. Otherwise, it'll be live on YouTube as a video as well. So yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on, guys. Hope that gave you a little bit of insight into my craziness in my life. I don't know if that was too sad. You know, some people say, well, Jim, you should do like really happy content, and you should be really happy. But, you know, one of my big things is just being transparent, honest with people that watch. And so maybe that means I won't be ever a popular streamer, because I'm not going to be like super positive and bubbly and like fake. But, you know, you're always going to get the real me on this show, the authentic me, the person that I really am, and not some internet personality, or not some character that I've created to be more popular, right? You're always gonna get me. So no, I'm just waiting for this to dry, guys, but I don't think I'm actually gonna be able to get any more steps done on this tonight, because this is gonna take another 20 minutes to dry, and then the next step is actually like quite involved, but you can start to see kind of how it's coming together. So usually what I do next is I go and do all the white armor, and that's actually a big step. So I'll probably that's kind of like the most important step, is how I do the striations on the white armor. But I'm not going to get that done today, because it's not a step I want to start and then stop. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you appreciating that I'm just being myself, and that I don't create this channel for like views or for something else. It's just really about being straightforward and being honest. Hey, Shazzy Bear, welcome to the chat, man. Francis, welcome to the chat as well. So anyways, but I just received my Tomb Kings. What Tomb Kings? What Tomb Kings? You got Tomb Kings? Oh, nice, dude. I used to have a Tomb Kings army in Warhammer 6th edition. My favorite army that I ever played in 6th edition was my Tomb Kings. There was a Burster, thanks so much, man. Artie, I appreciate it as well. So I used to have a Tomb Kings army in 6th edition, and they used to have Two-Division Guard, which were like their kind of like their Grave Guard. Not Two-Division Guard, sorry. What were the name of their like their Grave Guard equivalent? Oh man, now I gotta look it up. They had a Tomb Guard, sorry. So there's a Tomb Guard. I used to have a 25 block of Tomb Guard with leash Tomb King in the middle with the Destroyer of Eternities, which is like the fucking badass weapon. And then the whole unit had the banner that you could charge 360. So they could basically have 360 line of sight, which meant they could charge 360. So I literally put that unit in the middle of my army, and like you literally couldn't get within like 20 inches of it, because I could literally turn 360, Invocation of Nehek or whatever it was called back then, move, and then charge. And like obviously in 6th edition, charge ranges were fixed, right? There wasn't random. So you just had to be, if you were just within that set distance, I could charge you. And it was like super nasty because it would just take up like a whole quarter of the table. Yeah, man, feel free to post it. I don't know if Twitch will let you put links in, because it's pretty like I don't have Discord. Well, I have Discord, but I don't have a Discord for you to post it in to send it to me. And we're in a Discord that's similar. I don't know what Discords you're in that I'm also in. So if you tell me a Discord that you're in, you can send it to me on Discord. Yeah. Although actually I do have a Duplicity Paints Discord, which I should probably advertise. There's like 3 members in it. It's like me, Kozka, and like one other person. So if people want to kind of reach out and ask questions, maybe I'll start talking about it next week. But so yeah, so that's my that's this guy for today. Oh, it's okay, man. Mr. Popo, am I going to be playing the old world? It'll depend. I mean, the rumors that I've heard is that it's not 28mm scale. So it's basically going to be almost the rumor I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, and it might not actually even matter, I might play it anyways, is that it's going to be like 10mm scale, which is the same scale as Titanicus. It's almost going to be like War Master, but like I think War Master was like 5 or 6mm scale. So it's going to be like a slightly scaled up War Master, almost like Titanicus scale, in which case I'll probably still play it. I actually don't, yeah, so we'll see. I want to find out more and really find out what they're actually doing with it. I thought it was a really weird choice that they, yeah, Francis, I can't see your links, dude. They get blocked by Twitch because you can't post links like that in the chat, because they don't want people posting like links to their dick pics and stuff. Sorry. That's what I was thinking. Like if it is actually 10mm scale like Titanicus, I actually might be more inclined to play it, because realistically, I don't think they're going to just re-release. So here are my thoughts. I don't think they're just going to re-release Warhammer Fantasy 9th edition, quote unquote. I think if they do it, it's going to be like a whole new system, right? So I don't think Old World is just going to be like what we were expecting for Fantasy 9th edition instead of Age of Sigmar. I don't think it's going to use those same mechanics, because I think what we saw, and the reason that they changed those mechanics, is because that game itself, even though the setting was cool and I like the setting, I don't think that game itself was amazing, right? There's a lot of issues with it as far as like stuff. So if they change the mechanics to make it more like, say, a War Master or alternating activations or something totally different that I haven't thought about, and it's smaller scale, so I could say collect a square base 2,000 point, 3,000 point Chaos Army pretty quickly, right? Which was, again, one of the other issues with Warhammer Fantasy, which was no one wanted to paint 40 Night Goblins, or 200 Night Goblins, or 200 Orcs, or I think I painted at one point, I think I had like 80 Empire Spearmen painted, right? No one wanted to do that, and that was really frustrating and annoying. So I think just re-releasing, say, a 9th edition fantasy battle with like the new models, I don't think that's a good idea. I think what they should do is exactly what I'm saying, is lower the scale, change the sculpts of the units so they're more like, so they're smaller scale, so you can paint up and they're like almost on longer bases like War Master was, so that you can basically paint up an entire, say, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 point army fairly quickly. So it's like almost like, you know, like Titanicus, right? So it's like Titanicus scale. So it's still high detail because especially the technology's come a long way, but it's just smaller scale. I think that would be really cool. And then it maybe looks like a game of Total War, right? It actually looks like Warhammer Total War because you can have tons of like blocks of infantry, and you can play big battles with like tons of blocks of infantry, and it just really feels epic. It has that like epic feel of like playing Total War but in real life, right? I think that would be really cool, and I think that would be something that they should do. If it ends up just being like, hey, we're basically making 9th edition fantasy, I don't think it's gonna be super, I mean, it'll be popular amongst the hardcores, but I don't think it's gonna bring in new players, and I don't think it's gonna be a game that's gonna be super popular like long term. So that's my thoughts. Yeah, like I don't know if you guys saw the trailer for the new Total War 3, but like for instance, the Chaos faction had these Khorne Chaos Warriors. It's like there's a Khorne faction, I guess, with like Khorne Chaos Warriors. They look like Blood Warriors from Age of Sigmar almost, and I'm like, that's something that never existed in Warhammer Fantasy. So they're already creating new units for the Warhammer Fantasy Old World universe. So I'd love to see those translated kind of in a smaller scale rank and flank game where I want to be able to run a legion, right? A legion of warriors, like having, yeah. So I think that's the best way to do it. Plus, the other reason I think it's a good idea for them to do this is that what they don't want, and this is Games Workshop, they're not stupid. They don't want just a bunch of old neckbeards who have fantasy armies playing the new Warhammer Fantasy game with their old armies. Their whole point is that they sell new models to you, right? It's a new game with new models. So they don't want people busting out their old Empire and Goblin armies and just on square bases and just using those models for this game. What they want is they want you to paint new armies and buy new armies and buy new models. And if it's just Warhammer 9th edition fantasy or 9th edition, then that's not gonna be the case. No, I mean, my whole stream has been hot takes, Tanya. So anytime you join my stream, you're walking into some hot takes. But I was just talking about what I think the old world game is going to be and what I think it should be and what I don't think it should be. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was a hot take. It was just, I guess, my opinion, which in general is hot, but but yeah. So almost dry on this guy. But yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, well, you'll have to watch the stream because I had a 30-minute Warhammer TV hot take, and I had a pretty long hot take on chapter approved and the rules. So you missed a good hot take. Thanks for subscribing, Christian Waters. Thanks for everyone that's followed and subscribed recently. I appreciate it. I wouldn't be surprised if... So, Total War, the original Total War K-Pi, came out quite some time ago. And because video games have such long lead times, I think what happened was... Well, first of all, I was really surprised that they even allowed the original Total War 1, Warhammer, to come out. Because at the time, when Total War, the original Total War Warhammer came out, was like maybe like a year after Age of Sigmar came out the first time, the first edition. So like maybe around 5 years ago, around the same time. And I thought it was really surprising because I was like, wait, Games Workshop just killed their entire old world IP in the fucking end of the earth. They blew up the Earth. I have End Times Archeon behind me. I don't know if you guys can see it. And don't get me wrong, you guys got to understand. When I read, I love the End Times. I thought that was the greatest thing. When I read the last paragraph in End Times, where basically the fucking black hole machine in the old world sucks up the whole world and chaos wins, I was like cheering. I was like, finally, because I'm a chaos player, so I was like, finally, we win. Chaos won. I'm so excited. And I expected that to lead into like 9th edition of fantasy, not Age of Sigmar. So obviously, from a background perspective, I was actually really happy they blew up the old world, because it is lame. It's like, okay, we're gonna fight over Europe for the next 17 editions. So from a background perspective, I think what they've done with Age of Sigmar, the problem with Age of Sigmar was not the lore, it was that the rules at launch were absolute garbage. There was no points, there was no base size chart, there was no like match play or general's handbook. There was basically all these dumb, really silly rules, and all of those combined, there's things like the double turn, which priority roll, which I still don't like. So all of those combined made me not want to play the game. But as a background, I actually liked where they took the lore, and I actually think it benefits the game greatly, because look at how cool. I actually think the AOS lore right now is way better than 40k. Like the 30k lore, I think is my favorite, but the Age of Sigmar lore, especially the way that they're able to move the storyline ahead, do new things, add gods, create new races that we've never seen before. They can never do that in 40k, because we have the same 13 or 14 factions, and that's all we're gonna have for a very long time, right? If they introduce, think about it, if they introduced a brand new faction in 40k right now with still Finecast Eldar aspect warriors, there would be a full-on like revolt of people, like this, right? So I just don't think they have the design space to do that, right? They're the most that they can do from a creative perspective for 40k is basically adding new units to existing armies, and that are similar looking to the existing armies. They cannot go into a totally crazy direction and introduce brand new whole armies, because that's just, people are just gonna be really upset, because there's so much 40k right now that needs to get updated, not just from a rules perspective, from a models perspective as well. So I just don't think that people are going to be happy if Games Workshop goes and spends a bunch of resources on new armies when there's like 13 to 15 armies that desperately need updates on a lot of their range. Yeah, Obukan, I agree, man. The background in AOS, especially like the Broken Realms, like Slaanesh gets captured, the Necroquake, Nagash is like around Teclis. There's huge battles between like the gods, essentially. You know, Marathi ascends, right? And there's still a lot of places that they haven't explored. Like, we haven't seen Malarian, which is basically Malekith. We haven't seen Tyrion, right? We haven't seen... there's a lot in the AOS design space still. We haven't really seen much from the dwarves, the dwarf gods, or any of the big characters there. Like, there's a lot in that design space that we haven't seen, and there's still a lot of places to go. Plus, don't forget, that it seems like there's a brand new race coming to AOS. I guess we'll find out. Is it Friday? This Friday they're gonna do, or Saturday they're gonna do the reveal of the box set, and it looks like there's gonna be a brand new race for Age of Sigmar at the same time. So that should be so like the fact that they can do all that for Age of Sigmar, I think is really, really good, and it's really, really beneficial. I hope it's like Femir and Hobgoblins. Well, here's the thing. I think it has to be Destruction, because they just fucking introduced Kragnos or whatever the hell his name is. So I think it'd be weird if they did all that and then they introduced a non-destruction race. So I think it'll be a destruction race, which is why I think it'll be like Femir or some swamp monsters or fishmen or ratman or I mean whatever, right? Hobgoblins, yeah, it's hobgoblins. But hobgoblins are dumb because they're still goblins. I don't want goblins. I want like cool things. Goblins are not cool no matter what, you put a hob in front of them. Hobgoblins are just smaller or different sized goblins. They're kind of lame. Yeah, so if they do like a dude, man, do you know how many hobgoblins I killed in Baldur's Gate growing up and in D&D campaigns? That's literally like they're the most like useless goblin. They're the worst of all goblins. That's all you kill in D&D for like the first fucking 5 levels, and any D&D game is just hobgoblins. Everywhere you go, hobgoblins. Hobgoblins with bows, hobgoblins with spears, hobgoblins with shields. It's like, come on, man, give me a break. I'm tired of killing goddamn hobgoblins. No, I think goblins are cool. I just think hobgoblins are like boring. Night goblins are cool because they fucking eat magic mushrooms and they like do cool shit. So I like night goblins. Anyways, so I'm really hoping for, anyways, back to the point. I do hope that it looks like we're gonna get Cathay in the old world, which will be a human race. I'm glad because no one cares about the Empire, but I do hope we get like Bretonia. I hope we get like Tomb Kings. Oh man, I'd love Tomb Kings in the old world. So we'll see what races actually make it into that game. Yeah, I mean, Fanatics and Goblin Shamans are cool. Squigs are cool because they're like literally exploding balls of energy. But yeah, we'll see. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it there because I gotta go get ready for dinner. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Obviously, we're not gonna finish this guide tonight, but I will be probably doing a little bit more best overall show tomorrow night, and then depending on whether I'm here for the weekend or not, which is up in the air now. Before I was a firm no, but after talking to my friend Sabrina, it's now like a 30% maybe I go. So tune in tomorrow night. I have my very good friend Michael Scott from all the way from Ontario, Canada, co-hosting the best overall show with me at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We're going to talk about probably some of the stuff I talked about tonight. Now that I've had a bit better time to form my thoughts, and I'm going to catch up with Michael a little bit as well. But appreciate you guys all. You guys are the best, and have a great night.